by the Supreme Court.
Andy
And
thinks Andy McCarthy thinks I'm nuts. Do you think I'm nuts too?
You're not nuts, but that tactic is going to stay, and it can be abused. What we really need, is to rely on good judgment and fairness of prosecutors. Most of the time, we see that.
You mean prosecutorial discretion?
Yeah. Most of the time it is sound, but most of the time it's not good enough. It ought to be all the time, but it's human imperfection and the human temptation to get a big fish.
Isn't that part of it, though? Isn't it that, it's too much, it becomes dehumanizing to some, in fact, I would even argue, that they don't realize on the other side of this, these witnesses for years or longer, their families, their friends, their lives, the stress, the money, and, Lieutenant General Flynn has to sell his home. All right, John Sale, thank you so much, and we hope you'll come back again.
My pleasure, Sean.
800-941-SEAN, toll-free telephone number. How many more people are going to be killed by illegal immigrants before we realize that we can't have sanctuary cities and that we've got to obey the rule of law and that the wall will help? Straight ahead.
Coming up next, our final news roundup and information overload hour.
They have been so willing to move the goalpost every single time with this president, no matter what he says, no matter what he does, right? The fact that he was even sworn in as president after the Access Hollywood tape let me know for a fact that the Republican Party is actually not working on behalf of the American people. They are working on behalf of Donald Trump. And he's been able to bully them into their silence. And I don't think that today changes much, unfortunately. I'm sure we'll hear what he has to say about this at his rally. But Fox News is talking about, a girl in Iowa and not this. Right?
A person has been charged with it. This person is an undocumented immigrant. Mike Pence and the president have suggested the immigration laws need to be stronger so that people like this man who is accused of this murder were not in the country. Your reaction?
I'm so sorry for the family here, and I know this is hard, not only for the family, but for the people in her community, the people throughout Iowa. But one of the things we have to remember is we need an immigration system that is effective, that focuses on where real problems are. Last month, I went down to the border, and I saw where children had been taken away from their mothers. I met with those mothers who had been lied to, who didn't know where their children were, who hadn't had a chance to talk to their children, and there was no plan for how they would be reunified with their children.
I was disgusted by Senator Elizabeth Warren hearing her speak today, and what I want to say to her is stop lying to the American people, because you don't care what is happening to the victims of illegal alien crime, because if you did, you would be standing up for us and you would be doing something about it.
That last comment was Marianne Mendoza, a longtime friend of this program, and she was taking on Elizabeth Warren's stupidity, and the MSNBC contributed this girl in Iowa that Fox News is talking about. Marianne Mendoza is the mother of Police Sergeant Brandon Mendoza. He was killed on May the 12th, 2014 in a head-on collision, and the driver was an illegal immigrant, high on methamphetamine, and his blood alcohol content was over 3 times the legal limit. Also joining us, another friend of the program. He, too, lost his son. Steve Ronnebeck is with us. His son, Grant, was 21 years old, working overnight in a convenience store, murdered while working there in Mesa, Arizona. The killer was an illegal immigrant who was released by ICE in 2013 after a conviction for burglary and kidnapping involving drug dealing. And if I remember correctly, in that case, he'd actually held the woman hostage for almost a week. Also joining us, Agnes Giboney. Her son, Ronald Da Silva, was murdered in 2002 in California's Inland Empire by illegal immigrant gang member Luis Gonzalez, according to reports in that case. And it's just unbelievable. Welcome all of you to the program. My thoughts and prayers are with all of you always. Marianne, I admire your courage, your willingness to take on the stupidity of some that really just fight basic, simple common sense so we can protect people like your son who you were so proud of.
Yes, and I'm amazed daily that these politicians continue to protect illegal alien criminals in our country. And like I said on Tucker, we have pleaded with them to please look at what's happening to American citizens. And it's not just the American citizens who are killed, Sean. I mean, there's a rape epidemic going on in North Carolina. There's huge amounts of identity theft happening right now with our military men and women because of the leak with military information a year or so ago, and they're being affected immensely, and the crimes just go on and on and on and on. It's just such a deep-seated, awful thing that's happening to us, and to think that they would even refer to her as an Iowa girl instead of standing up for their fellow American infuriates me.
Yeah, the Iowa girl has a name, and her name is Molly Tibbetts. Your son has a name. Steve Ronnebeck's son, Grant, has a name. These are real people, real lives, real families. And, I've gotten to know many of you over time. Steve, you're one of them, like Marianne. I don't even know how you do these interviews, but you're doing it to warn other parents that this can happen to them, too.
Oh, absolutely. And I just want to say, and I know I can speak for Agnes and Marianne, that from my family to the Tibbetts family, that our prayers and condolences, and we're just so sorry that they've had to join a club that nobody should be part of, especially at the hands of an illegal immigrant. That just hit me like a sledgehammer in the chest the other day when they found her, and then a few hours later they said it was the illegal alien that killed her. It just goes to show you that our liberal side of our government is not ready to put the American people first. They're not ready to fight for American citizens. They have their own agenda. Elizabeth Warren is a disgrace, and what she said about the Iowa girl, you're right, Sean. She has a name, and her name was Molly Tibbetts.
Yeah, that was the MSNBC contributor that said that part. But I got to tell you something. I found it cruel. There's a certain, I have this uncanny ability, Steve, that I wish I almost didn't have, and it's called empathy. And I'm listening to you and Marianne, and Agnes is with us today, and I have met so many other families, and I somehow I can look into your eyes, hear your stories, and see the pain. That maybe it lessens a little bit here and there, but it never leaves. You're never going to get over the fact that your 21-year-old son, who's working an overnight shift, he's producing, he's building his life, is no longer with you every day. I don't know. Listen, I don't know if I survive. I don't know how you people do it. I don't know how you make it.
Well, we just keep fighting, and we keep fighting to protect other American families so that this doesn't happen to them. And that's what keeps me going.
Yeah. And Agnes, you've been through this pain too. Tell us about your son, Ronald.
Yes, I have, and I live with it every day. And first, I wanted to say to Molly's family, my heart goes out to them. I was extremely touched and moved. It opened a huge scab on my heart. This country should be filled with empathy, respect, and concern for American citizens and for the victims that have lost their lives in this insanity. And I agree with Ron and Marianne. Senator Elizabeth Warren is a disgrace and embarrassment to this country. What kind of mother, what kind of woman is she to reduce Molly Tibbetts to Iowa girl? That girl had a family. She ought to be ashamed of herself, and our country needs to start focusing on American citizens. As a legal immigrant myself, I find it incredibly offensive that this country is not protecting citizens and legal immigrants, but giving every protection to illegal aliens. And another thing that really, really bothers me is how they reduce them to undocumented immigrants. They are not immigrants. They are illegal aliens.
I don't know when you came into the country. I keep saying, and I'll repeat myself, Agnes, in case you've never heard me say it, I don't care that people come to the country. My grandparents, all four of them, came at the turn of the last century poor from Ireland. I mean, nothing in their pocket, $10. I only want one thing. Just do it like you did it. You did it legally, so we can check your background, and we don't have drug trafficking, human trafficking across our borders. I've been down there 12 times. I've seen it with my own eyes. And just to protect the American people, and that's all we're asking. I don't think that it's common sense to me.
No, and there was a process. It took my family 13 years. They applied 3 times. The first 2, it lapsed. They had to start the process all over. This is why it's so important to vet people. They have to go through full background investigation education, full medical, that you pay. You have to pay out of pocket for all these things. That's a small price to pay to come to such a great country. But people like me that legally immigrated into the country, we assimilated, we respect and honor. This is my home. This is my country. I didn't have a choice where I was born, but this is my country of heart, and I will fight to the end for my country. And that's why vetting is so important. Like this guy that killed Molly, Christian, he said, oh, he blacked out. Well, obviously, if he has an anger issue, he blacks out. We don't need people like that in our country. Get them out.
Listen,
how many more victims?
There's so many countries, and I'll throw this to Marianne, and you're right, but there's that they have merit-based immigration. But there's also, we could have people that come for a season. They can work. If look at our unemployment rate. It's so low now. We actually have more jobs available than we have people on unemployment. I mean, okay, then maybe that's an opportunity to bring people in and give them an opportunity. But as long as we check out your background, we don't care where you come from. If we build the wall, I'm all in favor of the big door and the wall as long as we check people out. Just like people that grow up under Sharia. That is the antithesis of our constitutional republic that they grew up under. I want to know that they share our values before they come here.
It's hard for them to assimilate into this country. And, there are good people who come to our country. I agree with that. But the criminal element and the leniency shown in our court systems to these illegals who are giving lesser sentences than an American citizen would for the exact crime that that they have committed, and they're an illegal alien present in our country on top of it, this should be holding more of a punishment for them. And the fact that a lot of times all they do is deport them. When we have a porous border the way we do, I was just down to Glenn Spencer's ranch in southern Arizona, and there's a barbed wire fence is all that's separating Mexico. I climbed through the barbed wire fence and climbed back in 2 seconds. These are not the protections that America needs, and these criminals that are deported after they've committed heinous crimes, they're back over in a week. And because Steve and Agnes and I are privy to a lot of these articles that aren't out in mainstream media, they're back 15, 16, 18, 22 times, and they're committing heinous crimes every time they're here and every time they're deported. And this isn't, I'm still getting guff out of it from a lot of people. You're a racist. This is not a racist problem, and this is not a way that liberals are going to deflect from this problem. They have to face it head on. These are illegal aliens, which means they are people unlawfully present in our country. I don't care where you've come from or what race you are illegally present in our country. And this is what all three of us are fighting. This has to stop.
I want to give Steve another opportunity to speak here because I just want people to hear your message because you have lived through this. You have, we hear about Kate Steinle. We hear about, this young woman, Molly Tibbetts. And I know some have heard your story, but many have not. And there's so many others. I bet, I don't know how many you all know together. I mean, I'm sure you've met a lot of these parents. I've met a lot of them over the years myself, Steve.
Yeah, and Marianne and I and Agnes and Laura Wilkerson, I know she's a friend of the show. We've gotten to
love
meet
her. She's amazing.
Yeah, and we get to meet these people and we get to hear their stories, and I don't think there's any one of us that doesn't shed a tear with that family member because we know their pain. I put out a post the other day about, can you imagine the pain that this family is going through? And at the end I said, I can. And then, there were several people that I didn't even know were out there that posted a picture of their loved ones and answered, I
met a woman in Indiana. She doesn't want to do media, but it happened to her family. And by the way, we talk about separation issues, which happened under Obama, and Donald Trump actually fixed it through executive order, but it really needs to be done by law. I don't think what he did through executive order is even constitutional, but he did it, and we need to fix the laws. And the only thing I will say to you is, there are so many people that have literally, it reminds me of Eric Bolling was on the show the other day, Steve, and he said, my son he bought a Xanax that was laced with fentanyl, and I want people to know it can happen to them. And he's right, and so are you.
It's not a matter of if it's going to happen to you, it's a matter of when anymore with the amount of crime that's happening against American citizens. And we have formed angel families, angelfamilies.com. The website's going to be, it's a shell right now, but it's being built, Sean, and we've got, we have got an influx of angel families that are reaching out to us so that we can get their stories out and so that people don't think, well, it's just Steve and Agnes and Marianne and Laura and a few others who are out in the news. We are bringing these people to the light, and the American public is going to find out very, very soon how many of their fellow Americans have been affected by illegal alien crime.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back more with Angel Families. We'll tell you more about their web. We'll tell you about their website when we get back as we continue with Agnes Givney, Steve Ronnebeck, and Marianne Mendoza. All right, as we continue, Sean Hannity's show, Angel Families. Now, they have a website we'll tell you about in a second. Agnes Givney, Steve Ronnebeck, Marianne Mendoza, all lost children. Because of the illegal immigrants in this country. Real quick, Steve, I cut you off. I apologize.
That's all right. You know, and as Marianne said, and what I want to instill in the public is this is kind of like a rape victim. And I hate to use that analogy, but it is. So many rape victims are afraid to come forward or they don't want to come forward. There are so many of these families out there that have lost loved ones or they've had loved ones become addicted to heroin or their child may have been a rape victim to an illegal alien. And they don't want to come forward. They don't want to go through the agony of it. But we want to give them a forum that they can.
Listen, you're all amazing people. Frankly, far better and stronger than I think I could ever be. I'm so sorry in each one of your cases. Agnes, thank you so much for being with us. Steve, thank you.
Thank you.
Marianne, it's always a pleasure to talk to you again. And I know you're fighting for other parents and other families, and I hope people hear it. And we could do things that are compassionate but tough and smart and just full of common sense. 800-941-SEAN, toll-free number. By the way, the Senate candidate running against Elizabeth Warren is going to check in, and we're going to get to your calls next. Blinds.com, you know, they're not just in the blinds business. They're in the complete home transformation business because that's what's going to happen when you get brand new custom blind shades, shutters, and drapes, all the big names at Blinds.com. You're going to look around when you're done, and you're going to say, this looks like a remodel without that expensive cost. They're going to guide you through the entire process. You get free samples, free shipping, free professional online design consultation. Now, there's a reason. Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. You get all those brand names. You get the lowest price possible, lower than any store can ever offer. And now through August the 29th, you're going to save up to 35%, plus take an additional 5% off site-wide just by using the promo code Hannity. That's 35% on top of their already